Hello, welcome to the next video. So last one was on weight manipulation. This one is on weight management. It was kind of generalised and a bit vague, but these videos have to, it's hard to put everybody's individual situation on a YouTube video. So this one's got to kind of be vague as well. A few points to get through. The whiteboard's a bit heavy and the handwriting is extremely terrible, but the points are for me to remember and not you. Before we start, like and subscribe please, that'd be brilliant, because I know you fuckers are watching. So, a quick video on being in a deficit or weight loss or things to expect. Again, it'll be generalised and vague, but that's all I can do at the moment. You need to get yourself a coach for it to be a lot more individualised. First point here is if, and we'll get into this in a minute, first point here is if you took your dog or your cat to the vet and the vet said your dog or cat's overweight, and you'd be like, all right, fine, what do you want me to do? They would say, you need to walk them more, or you need to walk them more if you walk your cat, walk them more and give them less food and then they'll lose weight. So dogs and cats and animals, we're technically animals, so we obviously abide by this. There's nothing else. Hopefully I've already taught you there's nothing else. It's just a simple case of calories in versus calories out, or energy in versus energy out. Coming to this bit here is a bigger version of the last video's sort of scales, but for you to be in a calorie deficit, the energy that you burn has to be more than the energy that you take in, or the energy that you eat. So it's as simple as that. In these boxes here, there's a lot more complexities going on, like thermic effect of food and your BMR and stuff like that. We'll worry about that stuff later. But one thing to remember with this sort of scale or equation, if you want to call it, is it's massively dynamic. So what that means is, if you're trying to lose weight, there'll be things that will eventually potentially try and stop you from continuing to lose that weight. Internally and externally, you might become a bit lazier. You might start lying down a bit more. You might start putting your feet up a bit more. You might stop walking as much, and it could all just be subconscious. You might not even realise it's happening. So it's just a reminder that just because you've been given 1,500 calories and to eat, and then 300 calories worth of cardio to do, doesn't mean that that's going to help you lose all the weight that you want. It's like you've got to have to change at some point, just because of adaptations and things like that. Another point to make, or to continue with this, if you're not in this to try and lose weight, you're not going to lose weight. I meant to mention in the last video, but again, there was a person I used to work with who used to think it was voodoo that she wasn't losing weight, which is obviously bullshit, or sorcery or something like that. But again, if you're not in this situation with trying to lose weight, you won't lose it. Now, with that, some people, it might be a genuine mistake. Like, people might genuinely think they're in a calorie deficit when they're not. Some people might think the foods that they eat are really low calorie, but they're actually high in calorie. Or they might think just because they're healthy that they'll have to lose weight, and that's obviously not the case, because what I've already taught you in the last videos that you should have watched is you can eat healthy foods and put on weight. So people also assume that, or think that I eat hardly anything, but they're actually like grazers, like they'll pick at foods, and these foods could be quite caloric. I've been grazing at my fiance's Lindt sweeties, you know, like the bogs with the melt chocolate in the middle. I had no idea that they're fucking 80 calories each, which are not worth it. Anyway, another quick point here to mention from the last video. Responsibility is technically on you. Nobody else feeds you your food. You technically choose the foods that you eat. You either choose not to be, I'm not saying be in a calorie deficit or not, but it's the responsibility of the individual, such as yourself, to try and sort your shit out, basically. You're the person that puts the food in your mouth and chooses what to buy at the supermarket and stuff like that. So hopefully as weeks go on, you start then understanding, or because people might genuinely not know how to do this, and that's why I've created this YouTube channel. But again, the responsibility falls on the person, because so many people are happy to say, this isn't my problem, this is the government's problem, when if they took a bit of responsibility on themselves, they'd be able to change. It's a bit like, again, talking about saving money. The best way of you trying to save money would be to look at your incomes versus your outgoings, make adaptations to that, to then hopefully get to your goal of how much money you want to save. Weight loss is exactly the same, but you shouldn't look at your like your pay slip or your bank details and go, holy shit, who has been spending my money? Because it's your fucking bank account, isn't it? And you're in charge of it. Very odd occasion somebody might be stealing for you, or you might have like an ex that's managed to get into your account. But for the most part, it's only you that's spending that money, and it is only you that's ingesting food. So it's technically your responsibility. Bit harsh, but tell me I'm wrong. So a bit more practical. So how long should you be in a deficit for? It's up to, I'm not saying it's up to the individual, but there's factors in there that that'll depend on the answer, unfortunately. So experience might come into it. If you've never been on a diet before, I'd go as low as possible. I wouldn't go anything less than 3, maybe 4 weeks, just to try out, see how you get on. Is there any success there? Right, fine. Next week we'll try 6 weeks, and then, you know, it maybe be like a 6-month period of strategically trying to lose weight. If you're very experienced in doing it, you could go up to 12, potentially 16 weeks. I wouldn't go further than that, but again, experience might dictate that you'd be happy to go further. There's such a thing as like diet fatigue. So if you've had multiple failures of trying to carry out a diet, I wouldn't even recommend going on a diet at that point anyway. But if you were a person that had massive failures of it, I'd go as low as possible to then show them, right, look, you can lose weight. Let's have a break here and then we'll carry on. So again, it's massively independent. The rate that you lose as well is massively independent, because there's likely going to be plateaus in there. You might stop losing weight for a week or two. Some people might respond well to being on an extreme diet, so maybe like 600, 700, 800 calories a day. Sounds crazy, but there's some people out there that don't feel the hunger of being just on those small calories. Some people might prefer to do it over a longer period of time to try and preserve as much muscle as possible. So again, it depends, but these things you'd need to take into account. And set realistic aims or goals or get somebody experienced to give you realistic aims or goals. Because if you walk into a coach and you say, I want to lose 20 kilos in 10 weeks, the guy would be like, are you fucking serious? Or the person might be like, are you fucking serious? But give yourself a ballpark figure to aim for, and then just see how you get on. But if you wanted to lose 10 kilos and you lost 7 during that period of dieting, some people would be pissed off at that, but I'd be like, you've lost 7 kilos. That's incredible. James Smith makes a really good point. Instead of thinking of losing 20 kilos once, think of losing 1 kilo 20 times, which is very, like, it's a nice way of putting it, looking at small steps rather than a big leap. Next point to think about if you're trying to create a deficit is, do you want to? 2 things I would consider is, do you want to prioritise performance over fat loss? So I would personally recommend going for performance, and the reason for that is if you go for performance, you're likely to look better at the end of it, and you're likely to keep numbers up in the gym. You're likely to get stronger. Whereas if you just prioritise fat loss, some people might have a wedding or like a holiday or that to just want to prioritise that. But a lot of people, what happens is they become skinnier and they're not happy with themselves, which is unfortunate, because people just assume that making me skinnier is going to make me happier, when that's not necessarily the case these days. I think part of the reason for that is I think people think they'll look different. They might think they look like a model when they get to those lower levels. I'm not saying they don't look like a model, but they've had a picture in their head of what they'd look like when they won't look like that. So it's just to be wary that if you're trying to create like a nice figure, you need to work for it. And that's why I prioritise performance. A bit more. Other couple I've labelled here pitfalls. It's probably the wrong word, but it's things to expect if you're in a deficit. You might you genuinely become a bit more short-tempered. You might have a little bit more food cravings. You might become a bit more tired. You might have like a bit more aches and pains just if you're recovering from any sort of exercise. All these things are normal. I think the more experience you have with dieting, the more you can like understand them and overcome them in a sense, or just say, oh, it's just a feeling, it's fine, I can push through this. There is obviously things to help with getting better recovery and like food cravings and stuff like that. Again, we'll get into all that sort of stuff later, but it's just to be wary of them. The biggest thing you can do to increase your chances of a deficit or increase the chances of being in a successful deficit or weight loss is your habits. So if somebody was to come to me and say, I want to lose weight, and then I looked at their habits and I'm like, you've not got anything in place. And what I would say to them is maybe spend 3 or 4 weeks getting some good habits in place. Things like drinking more water, eating more fruit and veg, eating like larger portions of protein, going out for a bit more walks, going out for longer walks. And then once I've done that after about a month, then you'd say, right, this period, we're going to try and purposely lose weight. Because what tends to happen is people on a Saturday says, on Monday I'm going to start a diet. So they do that for 12 weeks and say they lose weight. After those 12 weeks, they go back to their habits that they had before. And guess what? They put on that weight back on. They put the weight back on and probably some more. That's what's quite sort of prevalent in like studies and things like that. So habits are going to be massive to get through your diet successfully, but also maintain the weight that you've kept off. Putting weight back on isn't a big problem. So only putting weight back on isn't a problem as long as you know how to sustainably get it back off. It's the people that lose weight, gain it all back, and then think, right, I need to go back on that crazy diet before to lose weight because that helped me lose weight. But then they just keep spinning their wheels. Not a lot of people know how to lose weight sustainably, and that's what I'm trying to teach. Run through a few tips for you. So, to help keep yourself in a deficit, eat voluminous foods, fruit and veg, lean proteins. Weight loss isn't difficult. And if you were to ask a lot of people out there, or use watching, if you say to yourself in your head, how would I lose weight? I guarantee you would pick all these foods. The thing is losing weight sustainably isn't sexy. Everybody knows how to fucking do it. Or the majority of people are just terrible at actually actioning it. So things you'd read here and things I'm going to tell you over the next however long this keeps on going for, you all fucking know. It's just you haven't done it. So yeah, voluminous foods. Drink plenty of water. I think that's very underutilised when you're trying to lose weight. Drink plenty of water in the mornings, afternoons, and maybe no evenings, because it'll then affect your sleep. But during times of eating food, it'll help you keep fuller for your next meal. And during the day as well. Aaron Aragon talks about having water meals, which is just a large glass of, I think it's 3 large glasses of water throughout the day to keep yourself full. We'll get into hydration, all that stuff later on, but it's a quick point to learn. It's a good habit to have. Next one is trust the process. So again, I don't know if I mentioned it. I've had a few attempts at this video, so I can't really remember what I've said and what I've not, but trust the process. Losing weight isn't linear. Very rarely will you stand on the scales and it'll be low every time you do it. It'll be a new low every time you do it. The scale weight's got to go up and down. So as long as the average trend is on a downward slope, you're doing pretty well. And last point here is, if you think that you're plateauing or your weight isn't moving, leave it 2 or 3 weeks, or potentially 4. If it's still not moved after that, then change it. Lower your calories or up your energy output, or the calories that you go and jump on the treadmill for, or anything like that. What you don't want to do is change it too quickly, and then it becomes too difficult, and then you start rebounding on eating like a fuckload of food that you never expected because you're too tired or you're starving yourself too much. I'm not getting into like diet breaks and shit like that. We'll come into that later on. I think I'm done there. Don't know if I remember to say that, but if you like and subscribe the video, if you've made it this far, that would be brilliant. I will see you in the video for surplus, a calorie surplus. Thanks for watching. See you later.